It's wonderful to be able to come up here after we have voted in these great candidates that we have for different leadership positions. You'll notice that we said for vestry that there is more room on the vestry. I think it was last year we changed our bylaws so that we have flexibility about the number of vestry members. It's between 9 and 12, so we have the minimum, but there is room for more. So if during the year you become interested in maybe come to some meetings, see what it's like, and then consider whether you might be a good candidate for that role. I have just a short, since I didn't do a full sermon today, I felt I had a few more things to say. It is good to be up here at a time when the church is doing so well, which I think if you look through the annual meeting reports, you just see a tremendous amount of good stuff going on here. And it is also hard to be up here at a time when it feels like lots of other things in the world aren't going so well. In a minute, we're going to show a little slideshow to kind of focus on the good. I wanted to take a moment, if you think about today that we're in this season after Epiphany, which we've been talking about a lot. One of my favorite poets, and I know a lot of you also follow her work, is Jan Richardson. She's written a bunch of poems about this season, which is unusual. One of my favorites is called "The Map You Make Yourself." Echoing the story of the Magi, who are warned in a dream about King Herod's evil designs, and so go home by another way. The poem ends with these lines: "Home is always by another way, and you will know it not by the light that waits for you, but by the star that blazes inside you, telling you where you are is holy and you are welcome here." Where you are is holy and you are welcome here sounds almost like it could be the slogan for St. Martin's at this time. We've really been doing a lot of work to make this a place that is welcoming to all, and a place that recognizes the holiness that already exists in every human being. I mean, I think we all know that you don't actually need to come to church to be holy. It is God's grace that sanctifies us and makes us holy, but hopefully we come to church because of that God light that blazes inside us, that it's kindled and renewed here. And hopefully when we come here, we find welcome and encouragement and challenge. You might remember, if you were out in the narthex a few minutes ago, you could have seen the posters that were up here from this fall's stewardship. Our stewardship theme was built on a vision that the vestry developed for St. Martin's to be a place where everyone can be welcome, be known, and be loved. Now, first and foremost, these are attributes of the hospitality of God who welcomes, knows, and loves us all. We pattern our common life here in the parish after God's own hospitality. This past year, that looked like adding Spanish language signs to our campus. It looked like being the one church in Davis that offered a service for the Trans Day of Remembrance. It looked like having 13 people confirmed and or received by the bishop during her visit. It looked like filling up Project Restart bins and helping with the remodel of the Belfry's kitchen. It looked like baking communion bread and delivering flowers and sending out birthday cards and having breakfast together. And it looked like so many ordinary, everyday interactions among members of our community. Actions that aren't part of a program or a plan, but that happen among people who are doing their best to follow the star that blazes inside us. Sometimes the annual meeting rector's report feels a little bit like a State of the Union address. I feel like I am supposed to tell you what's ahead of us in 2026. Of course, that's a really hard ask. Nobody knows what the future brings. But it seems inevitable that in this coming year, we are going to need to keep our eyes fixed on that blazing God light more firmly than ever. We are going to need to be even more radically welcoming, more steadfast in seeking and serving Christ in all persons and respecting the dignity of every human being. As we answer the call of Jesus to follow him, just as those first disciples we heard about did, we may need to leave behind the safety of our routines and go places we never planned to go. Last week, you might remember that I closed my sermon with words from the Right Reverend Craig Loya, the Bishop of Minnesota. He urged all of us who are enraged and heartbroken and afraid because of what has been happening in Minneapolis and in other places around the country to get on with the business of resisting with love, of disrupting with hope, of agitating with joy. And I believe that St. Martin's, along with other faith communities, is going to have to decide what that looks like for us here. I have friends who are running churches in Minneapolis. I have family that lives there. And one of the things they keep saying is that there are things we can do to support them, and we also have to be doing our own work in our own contexts. I didn't think I would be quoting Bishop Loya again so soon, but I want to read to you some of what he said about what people outside of Minnesota need to know. He notes that there's a lot of reporting on the chaos that is happening on the streets. He said, but there's also something much more powerful and not as widely reported happening. We are mobilizing for revolutionary love, vast networks of care, compassion, and solidarity organized by churches to deliver food and supplies to those who cannot leave their homes. People are documenting the violence being used against us in a way that puts their own lives at risk. People are standing guard outside churches and daycares and at bus stops to protect our children from real risks of harm. Healthcare workers are bravely caring for people in hospitals that are no longer safe and risk being targets of arrest and detention for protecting their patients. A rich web of underground care and hidden love is taking deep root, and it's amazing to think what fruit that might bear when this occupation ends. I think we can tap into that rich web of underground care and hidden love, even from out here in Davis. I know we can, and I know we can strengthen that web for our own community. And as scary as the times are, I am excited to do that work with you. I'm excited to see where all of you are finding that blazing God light within and how you want to express it for the world. And I couldn't be more grateful for the privilege of being your rector, of leading this amazing community. And I am praying for how we can continue to make this a place where everyone is welcomed as Christ, where everyone is welcomed and known and loved in the way that Jesus welcomes and knows and loves us all. And I'd like to share a slideshow that Gabe made that shows a few of the highlights of this last year. We're trying something new. We've got instead of the little screen down here, we're using the big wall as a screen.